Hi everybody! So today we're going to be making Christmas lights, something quick and something easy. You can make them as little ornaments, or I'm going to actually be attaching them to presents, and that was the idea that I had in my head. They're very quick. I loomed all of these this morning, so they're very quick, and I am going to be using the purple for the main color. So you want to pick the color that you'd want to use. I am using the silicone bands, those not so stretchy and oh so sticky. Those bands, that's what I'm going to be using. For the gray, the bottom base, I'm just using the opaque bands. If you don't have the silicone, these two, just to show you, they're with the opaque bands. So I'm going to get started, and I do hope you enjoy. For round one, I'm going to start with 6 single crochets in the magic ring, and I'm using the gray color. So I'm going to take my first band and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm pulling 6 bands through one at a time. So you're just going to reach in, bring your first band through on your hook, and bring your top loop over, and bring it to the side. Go back in for your second band, put on your hook and the top 2 loops over, and bring it to the side. And you're just going to continue by going in, bringing your band through, on your hook and the top 2 loops over. And attach your stitch marker to this band that's around your hook, and you can remove off the loom. You should have 6 stitches. You want to move your bands around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is on your hook. For round 2, we're just going to increase on every second stitch. So you're going to do a single crochet followed by an increase. 1, 2. So that's 1 band in the first chain, 2 bands in the second. You're going to repeat this 3 times. And at the end of round 2, you're going to have 9 stitches. So let's go in our first chain and add 1 band. So that's your single crochet. Going into your next stitch, you're going to do your increase. So it's adding 2 bands, 1 at a time. Back in. And you're going to repeat 1, 2. Back in for your second band and repeat 1 and 2 in your last. So you should have 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 is on your hook. Remove your stitch marker and add it to this band that's around your hook. For round 3, we're going to use double bands, and we're going to do 9 single crochets and grabbing the inside loops only. So I have 9 sections here, and we're going to be grabbing 2 bands at once. So I'm going to go to my first inside loop, so the loop that's closest to the center, and I'm going to bring 2 bands through at a time. So double bands through that inside loop on your hook, and you want to grab your last 2 bands here and slide it through. So you should have the 2 loops on your hook. The next inside loop only, 2 bands through. Oops, I dropped them. 2 bands through on your hook and slide the last 2 all through. The next inside loop, just repeat, double bands, and you're just crocheting with double bands. And you're going to repeat until you get to the stitch marker. Inside loops only, the first little loop, bring your last 2 bands through. Make sure you're grabbing those 2 bands. And you should still have 9 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and you can add it to these double bands that are around your hook. For round 4, we're going to do 9 single crochets. So at the end of this round, you should have 9 stitches. I'm just using a single band and I will be going through the 4 loops. Because we use double bands, now there will be 4 for that chain, for each chain until you get to the stitch marker. So just bringing your single band through and just crochet around. So you're going to go to your next chain and you should be going underneath 4 loops. And then next you should be grabbing 4 loops on your hook and just repeat. So you should still have 9 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. I'm going to be switching to my color now, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets followed by an increase. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So at the end of this round, you're going to have 12 stitches, and because I'm changing color, I'm going to start off with the slip stitch. So you want to go on your first chain, not where it's getting pulled, not where your last band is. Go over to your first chain and you're going to bring your first band through both of these loops. And slide. Your second chain, you're just doing a single crochet, bringing 1 band through. Your third chain, you're adding 2 bands, 1 at a time. Back in. And repeat. 1, 1, 2. Back in to add your second band, and you're just repeating 1 more time until you get to the stitch marker. You should have 12 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 6, we're going to do 12 single crochets, adding 1 band to each chain. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. When we're done this round, we're going to add a tiny bit of stuffing to the bottom part. So I'm going to go on my first chain, not the slip knot, my first chain, and just bring 1 band through. The next, the next with 1, all the way until you get to your stitch marker. So you should have 12 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and we're going to grab a little bit of stuffing just to fill the bottom part. So you want to push it down just to fill it. And we're just going to fix the bottom because it's kind of sticking out. We're going to make it flat because we made a base when we used those double bands. For round 7, we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase. So it's 1, 1, 1, 2. So in every 4th chain, you're adding 2 bands. You're going to repeat this 3 times, and at the end of round 7, you're going to have 15 stitches. So I'm going to go in my first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and bringing 1 band through. Chain 2 with 1 band. And chain 3 with 1 band. And chain 4, you're adding 2 bands one at a time. Back in. And repeat. You're going to repeat this until you get to your stitch marker. You should have 15 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For rounds 8, 9, and 10, you're just doing 15 single crochets. So in each pile, I have 15 bands. So at the end of each round, you should have 15 stitches. I'm going to do round 8 with you, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you've completed rounds 9 and 10. So I'm going to go in my first stitch, not where it's getting pulled, and just bringing 1 band through. The next stitch with 1. The next. You're just adding 1 band to each chain until you get to your stitch marker. So you should have 9 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and you want to repeat this 2 more times. So please pause the video and come back to me when you're done. For round 11, this is the pattern. We're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. So I am going to use an extra band. Again, 3 single crochets, so 1 band in the first 3 chains, followed by an invisible decrease. And we're going to repeat 1 more time. At the end of round 11, you're going to have 12 stitches. So I'm going to go in the first 3 chains with 1 band. 1, 1, 1. Not where it's getting pulled. Chain 2 with 1. And chain 3 with 1. Now we need to do an invisible decrease, so I'm going to do, this is Just AV's technique, and it fits well with this one. If you take the 2 stitches and stitch together, it's not going to work. So you're going to go in your next chain, this is your 4th chain, and you're going to do a slip stitch and leave it on your hook. So bring your band through, put the end on your hook, and slide it underneath that same band there. So you'll have the little slip stitch. You're going to repeat and chain 5. So leaving this on your hook, go and chain 5 and do a slip stitch. When you get 3 loops, then you slide. That's your decrease. We're going to repeat 3 single crochets. Now your invisible decrease, so go in your next stitch and you want to do a slip stitch and leave it on your hook. The next chain, slip stitch, 3 loops and slide. And you're going to repeat this one more time. 3 single crochets followed by your invisible decrease. Slip stitch, and the last chain with a slip stitch, 3 loops and slide. So you should have 12 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 12, we're going to decrease to 9 stitches. So we're going to do 2 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. So adding an extra band. 1, 1, invisible decrease. And you're just going to repeat this 3 times. So I'm going to go in the first 2 chains with 1 band. Not where it's getting pulled. And when we're done this round, we're going to be adding our stuffing. So going in the first chain with 1 band. Chain 2 with 1 band. And our invisible decrease, so we're going to do a slip stitch in the next 2 chains. Three loops and slide. And repeat 2 single crochets. Next chain. And your invisible decrease. Slip stitch. Slip stitch, 3 loops and slide. And repeat one more time until you reach your stitch marker. Three loops and slide. You should have 9 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and you want to add some stuffing. Now, if you're using the opaque bands, you don't want to add that much, so you don't want to see the stuffing coming through the holes. The silicone bands here, you can probably get away with adding a lot of stuffing and you won't change the form of it. So I am using the silicone, so I am going to try to fill. And again, you don't want the stuffing showing through the stitches anywhere. And we're just going to try to create the actual shape. Now there are 2 more rounds to go, so I am going to add just a little bit extra. so we can pull it to the top when we're done. So by putting your finger inside, you just don't want any room kind of thing. So you want it kind of full to the point where you don't want it showing through the bands. For round 13, we're going to do a single crochet followed by an invisible decrease. So single crochet, 1 band, followed by an invisible decrease. And you're going to repeat this 3 times. At the end of round 13, you're going to have 6 stitches. So I'm going to go on my first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and bringing 1 band through. Now a slip stitch in the next 2 chains. Try not to grab the stuffing with your hook. Which I just did. Slip stitch, 3 loops, and slide. And repeat, single crochet, push your stuffing in, and followed by an invisible decrease. Slip stitch, slip stitch in the next, three loops, and then slide. And repeat 1 more time. Three loops and slide. You should have 6 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 14, we're going to close this off, so we're going to do an invisible decrease and repeat 3 times. So I'm adding an extra band. Our last band, we're going to do a slip stitch to tie it closed, and we won't have any stitches left. So putting the stuffing in, slip stitch, the next stitch, slip stitch, 3 loops and slide. Repeat. Three loops and slide. I'm just going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to go on the next chain, open it up, slip stitch, and 1 more. In the next chain, you're going to bring your last band through all of the loops that are on your hook and tie it closed. Now I'm not going to pull the silicone with my hook because it breaks the bands, so I'm just going to tug it with my fingers, and you should have a tiny little hole here. That's the hole that I'm going to bring my slip knot through. So I'm just going to go through the bands and bring my slip knot and hide it. Now with your hook, you're going to bring some of the stuffing to the top. So the stuffing that's inside, you're just going to grab it with your hook and move it around. Now if you have to remove some of the stuffing because you overstuffed, you're just going to reach in a good spot and remove some of the stuffing. This is what I just wanted to show you. And you can use a pencil to push it back in through the same hole that you pulled it out. And I'm just going to move the stuffing up and shape the bottom. So you're just going to, with your hand, you'll have the bottom base here. You're just going to stretch it like that and create the bottom base. Now what I did with my other ones is when I changed color to the purple, I grabbed the little knot and I just went around with it with my hook, just loosening it up. But it's pretty much formed. And it's done.